G'day, it's Pete here, and I'm back for Hand of the Week, talking about how to bid freak distributional hands part 2. So last time I gave you a hand with 6 hearts and 7 clubs, with the ace king of hearts and the ace of clubs. I'm like, how do we actually bid this? So let's go through and I'll talk about some of my reasonings and what I think your approach should generally be. So from the comments I heard of like 4 no, 2 places to play, 5 no, 2 places to play, 2 hearts, 4 hearts. Some people suggested the conventions that they play. Some people want to pass, and some people want to psych. So we have a huge mixture of options available to us. And yeah, let's go through what I think should be done and what the approach should be. So first of all, what I want to do is visualize what sort of hands partner could have and what I think we might be able to make opposite it. So what level do I want to be at most of the time? So if partner came up with, say, 2 clubs and the Queen Doubleton heart, then I would be on both suits breaking for slam. If partner had 3 clubs and a singleton heart, I would be on clubs and hearts breaking somewhat sensibly to make slam. So slam is a possibility, but I think more often than not, we're not going to be making a slam with this. So I feel like bidding to slam is a bit of a push, because I know that East has at least 2 clubs, so giving partner a couple of clubs is a bit tricky, but they could have like 3 hearts, or they could have that, but a lot of the time they just won't. So for me, I personally would aim for game, but happy to sort of buy it wherever we get. Like, we could be missing a slam or not. But because partner's a passed hand and East has the majority of the points, I don't really want to put partner on having the right short edge and a good fit for me. But that definitely could happen. And if I get myself into a spot where partner supports me, then maybe I would actually go looking for slam. So the next thing is realizing that the opponents are going to get in the way in this auction. Like, if we come up with some elaborate plan where we get to keep the bidding low and then show both of our suits, that won't happen realistically. The next player is going to bid because we can tell from partner's pass that the opponents have a spade fit, and I have such a distributional hand, and I don't have that many points, is that the next player will act, and that'll jam us up. And then finally, I want to also consider, do I want to let partner in on this gag? So a couple of people suggested bids like 4 no trumps or 5 no trumps. So 4 no trumps, 2 places to play, 5 no trumps, 2 places to play. And if partner bids diamonds, correcting it to hearts. Now, that's all well and good, and we do have a very distributional hand, but I don't think we're going to get partner picking clubs when it's right, ever. Like, if you want partner to pick clubs when they prefer diamonds, then we are always going to be playing in like a really weak spot. So rather than just telling partner we've got 2 places to play from all 4 of the suits, I want to sort of let them in on the gag first before trying to get them to choose. So if I had a chance, I would want to tell them I've got hearts and I've got clubs, and I want them to actually pick between those 2. So for that reason, I don't particularly like the 4 no trumps or 5 no trumps, because partner won't know which suit to pick. So they understand we've got a 2-suited hand, but it's going to be a nightmare for them to actually pick it. Whereas if we get to bid hearts and bid clubs, then we'll actually allow them to choose between the 2 suits. So for me, my 2 choices would be between bidding 2 hearts or bidding 4 hearts. And let's talk about a couple of the different things and repercussions of both of these. So if I bid 2 hearts, I really don't think that this will ever get passed out. But it definitely allows West to come in cheaply. Sometimes it'll be tricky for them to enter into the auction, which bids like 4 no trumps, 5 no trumps, 4 hearts might jam the opponents out even when they've got a good spade fit. So there are some benefits to bidding 4 hearts immediately, which will stop the opponents coming in sometimes, whereas 2 hearts won't do that. What 2 hearts does do is, let's imagine that the opponents are going to come in with 4 spades no matter what, which is, if I bid 4 hearts and say it goes 4 spades or a takeout double then 4 spades, and I want to compete to 5 clubs, this really looks like I've got a heap of hearts and I've got some clubs. So I might have like 7 hearts and 5 clubs, or occasionally 7 hearts and 4 decent clubs, and I'm offering it like this. And it'll be really hard for partner to ever pick clubs when they've got like Doubleton club, Doubleton heart, or something like that. This sort of bidding really emphasizes the heart suit, and then gives clubs as a secondary offer. At least that's the way I would interpret it. Whereas if I bid it slightly differently, let's say I bid 2 hearts, and the opponent might bid 4 spades, or they might bid some number of spades, where it gets back to 4 spades before it gets to 4 spades before it gets back to me. And now I bid 5 clubs. I don't think this emphasizes the hearts as much as I have this big 2-suiter. Which of these 2 suits do you want? So if I want my partner to pick out of these 2 suits, then I think this is the best way to actually do it. But it definitely lets the opponents in, lets them find their spade fit pretty early. So I think it's pretty close between 2 hearts and 4 hearts. My initial reaction was I want to bid 4 hearts because I might just buy it there. If I'm going to play in 4 hearts, this is the way to buy it in 4 hearts and let me play there. The next question is, if I get doubled, do I run to 5 clubs on this hand? And that's another tricky question, but I probably would. It depends under what circumstances I get doubled. But I kind of like 4 hearts for that reason. It might preempt the opponents out of getting into their spades. But then the fact that I'm actually expecting them to bid 4 spades, I came around more to the 2 hearts approach because of thinking of the subsequent option of where I want my partner to choose between hearts and clubs. If I start with 2 hearts, I think I get a legitimate choice between the 2 suits, whereas if I jump to 4 hearts, I don't think I'll actually get that choice. So for me, overall, my first choice would be bidding, like showing hearts. Now, if this shows hearts and a minor, that's fine. If this just shows hearts, that's fine. Depending on whatever convention you've got, I would start by showing hearts, or if I can show hearts and another, I'll do that. But for me, the general approach, bid 2 hearts. They'll get in there, and they'll presumably get to 4 spades, and then I'll bid 5 clubs over it. Very rarely do I think the opponents will bid 5 over 5, especially when we're vulnerable against not, and they've got just a stack of points. So I don't think that they'll save that much, and if they do, it's because West has some freak distributional hand, and they'll be bidding it no matter what I do. So I'll start with 2 hearts. If I catch a raise from partner, I'll be bidding 6 hearts. But I think that's like a dream case scenario. So for me, I reckon 2 hearts is the approach, and that's because what I wanted to do is I wanted to give partner a legitimate choice. If I started with 4 no trumps or 5 no trumps, because partner is choosing between 4 different suits, it'll be way too hard for them to make a legitimate option. The second thing was trying to do some hand visualization, and do I actually want to be in slam? Do I want to be in game? What sort of level do I want to be? I think that slam could make some of the time, but I think the majority of the time I don't think I'll be making slam, so I'm happy to settle for game. But if I catch a raise, then I'll actually bid onto it. And then the third sort of thing is, do I want to jam the opponents out? And do I think that's likely to happen? I think some of the time it will happen, but I think it's a bit too optimistic to think that it will, especially at this vulnerability. If the vulnerability was different, I think it would be more likely that I'd be able to jam them out. But here, I think that West will be making an action a lot of the time. So for me, I'd start with 2 hearts and then try and bid 5 clubs. Anyway, let's open up all the cards so that you can see what the actual hand was like. So it was a bit of a weird one, and you do actually make 6 clubs because partner's got 3 card club support and a void heart. But I think that's a bit of a stretch. Also, partner's got 5 spades, which makes it tricky for the opponents to get in there and bid that. But overall, I reckon I'd be happy getting to 5 clubs, making 6. There's a fair chance that you'd get doubled in various options, especially with East having Queen, Jack 10, 4th heart. On the actual hand, if you bid 4 hearts, West will probably make a takeout double, and East might just flag it. And if they pass 4 hearts, that does not go well for you. You go down a bunch. If East corrects to 4 spades, you get to bid 5 clubs, which works all well and good, and probably get doubled there. But if you jam them up on this particular hand, you might actually get punished for it. But unlikely, like not the most likely scenario, but something you have to be aware of. And do you actually run if it happens? Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this hand of the week, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.